Hey, federal employees, OPMs recently leaked draft regulations reportedly label core civil service protections as unconstitutional overcorrections and are using that to justify a Schedule F or policy/career takeaway where they're taking away protections from most 50,000 federal employees. Here today, gone tomorrow. No surprise, by the way, these are regulations that drew the most comments ever, about 40,000 comments, 94% of which were negative. As an attorney for federal employees, here's what's going on, why I think it's a serious legal and constitutional problem. Please double tap and share to help get this out. The draft rules are grabbing onto one tiny carve-out in Title V and legally twisting the reading of it. There's a line saying that normal Chapter 75 removal protections don't apply to positions that are confidential, policy determining, policy making, or policy advocating. OPM seems to be saying because Congress used those words, the president can twist those words and decide that fits a description that's much bigger and turn huge chunks of the workforce to at will, where you can be fired for resistance to his policy. After Watergate, Congress didn't suggest a merit system. It locked one in via statute. If you're a covered federal employee, you can't be fired just because someone in power doesn't like you or you don't like their policies, unless you're a certain type of employee. That's in Chapter 75. And to make sure, in the same statute, there was an exception for confidential policy determining, policy making, or policy advocating. For decades, it's been treated as a term of art for a very small slice of truly political jobs. Schedule C staff, close advisors to agency heads, the classic political appointees. Not ordinary career scientists, HR specialists, or analysts, right? In a final rule, OPM said last year, the phrase has a long-standing narrow meaning tied to political appointees that was never meant to sweep in broad swaths of the career workforce. Now, if the leaked draft is accurate, that same phrase is being repackaged to justify moving tens of thousands of people into a category where they can be fired at will for perceived disloyalty. An exception that historically covered a small number of political jobs, about 1,500, suddenly balloons to capture an entire layer of the civil service, 50,000 people. Congress doesn't have the power to politicize a huge chunk of the workforce in one vague phrase that everyone treated narrowly for decades, or as the Supreme Court has put it, doesn't hide elephants in mouse holes. There's also a constitutional layer. Once Congress gives you a property interest in your job by saying you can only be removed for cause with due process, the government can't just relabel you and pretend those rights never existed. And public employee First Amendment cases say the government generally can't fire most employees because of their politics. So there's a tiny class of truly political jobs where ideology does matter, and I think it's fair. But outside that class, patronage firings run into serious problems. So when a rule starts talking about removing career employees for resistance to policy, it's walking straight towards the constitutional tripwire. It blurs the line between a small circle of political posts and the nonpartisan career civil service that's supposed to serve the law, not any one president. Here's what this means in real life. Under the narrow, correct reading of the statute, in my opinion, that exception applies to a small set of high-level political positions, but they're changing that, so you got to watch it. Under the broad reading, hinted at in this draft, likely to come into place and get numerous legal challenges, it could apply to you, the career expert who's just trying to do the job the right way, even though your job is not really political. That's why this fight over a single phrase matters. It's the difference between a professional career protected by merit system rules and working every day with a target on your back because someone thinks you're not aligned enough with the agenda. HR has to go to legal all the time. To think that they really are covered by this, ridiculous. If this helps you see what's at stake, like, save, and share it with other federal employees. Also, drop your questions in the comments below. We're reading these rules so you don't have to. I'm Shaun, an attorney for federal employees at Southworth PC. If you're worried this might affect your job, please keep following us right now. And if it does have a negative impact, be sure to follow along the news cycles. You might end up needing to speak with an attorney. What do you guys think about all of this? Civil service protections, do you think HR is intended to be the sort of thing that Congress really envisions losing their whistleblower protections, losing their civil service protections because it's a policy decision, or are they just supposed to be following the law? What about career scientists? Same thing. Can they just politicize everybody and then one day the entire workforce is in a loophole? Let me know your thoughts. Thank you everybody for your support. Take care and have a great day.